Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Solo Media. We're back with the not the second or third, not even the fourth, but the fifth installment to the Toy Story franchise. I can't believe I'm even saying that, but here we are. Here with Jay King. We're going to be viewing a full spoiler review for Toy Story 5. The film goes as follows. Buzz, Woody, and Jessie and the rest of the gang come to face with a Lilypad, a brand new tablet device that arrives with their own disruptive ideas about what is best for Bonnie. Will playtime ever be the same again? This film is directed by Andrew Stanton. He also he directed Toy Story 4 as well. But yes, his film already came out, and honestly, I saw his film early, the press screening, and with my expectations, I kind of kept it low. But with Pixar, they've been kind of hit or miss the last few years and stuff with a bunch of properties, especially when coming out of the pandemic with streaming and certain projects having theatrical release and seeing, oh, that's Disney Plus, and other things where you put on Disney Plus, it's like, oh man, we should have got that theatrical release, vice versa. But here we have a money-making franchise with Toy Story, and honestly, I wasn't disappointed. I thought this was actually getting to the second act of this film. I thought it actually had a very genuine and hopeful story. Also in terms of reality of technology and not actually being the villain. And I think this is also one of the first times out of the franchise I felt that the villain actually was redeemed at the end. I can't even remember the villain from Toy Story 4. I think it was the doll, that baby doll, whatever. But aside from that, I think this was like first time where it was actually showing that the technology shouldn't be feared, but just be used the right way. It definitely was a story that we need today in our current generation, with technology affecting children and playtime. But J.K., what was your overall thoughts with the movie Toy Story 5 not coming back now, over a 20-year franchise at this point?
Actually, it's over 30 years since the first film came out, which is crazy to think. Almost as old as both of us, which is crazy to think about the fact that we've been alive to witness, or at least witness, 5 Toy Story movies. But yeah, no, it's like when I first heard about Toy Story 5 coming out, like a lot of people, we were like, seriously? Like, come on, 3 was a good ending, and you kind of stretched it with 4, and, at the very least had a good ending for Woody. It's like, what could we do here? And then it's like toys versus technology, and you almost get like, oh no, is this going to be like a phone bad sort of movie? Are they going to lean to that? But then you actually look at the film and you're like, no, actually it's kind of smart the way that they decide to go about this in terms of how they view technology and like the good and the bad within it, while also showing the good and the bad within, continuing to hold on, or it's not say hold on to the ideals, but like just the way that Bonnie was going at that time, the good and the bad in toys and the good and the bad in technology, while also at the same time making this, unlike the previous films, Jessie's story. Jessie is the protagonist toy within this because Woody takes a back seat. He's here in this film, but he really takes a back seat here. This is Jessie's story, with Woody and Buzz being here to support and have their own stuff, but this is really hers. And I think what she goes through, what Bonnie goes through, and what Lilypad discovers within this really just makes this, I wouldn't say better than the first 3, but definitely better than Toy Story 4. And I say worthy of standing on the shoulders of the Toy Story movies and one of the good Toy Story Pixar films in the last few years.
Yeah, I thought this was a return to form for Pixar. I wrote this in my article, Rotten Tomatoes, for this because, again, with Pixar, the last few years, I felt that we're kind of hit and miss in terms of what Pixar was. It was kid-friendly films, but they were able to properly show an adult story that both children and adults can resonate with in different points of their lives, right? And I thought, we're overdue with this, but I still have a perfect ending of what this entire franchise should be. And hopefully, like with this film, it definitely didn't end on a note, and possibly we can get another film, and hopefully the final film of this entire franchise. And I felt like we have, this is our now 3rd movie with Bonnie, with introducing her into Toy Story 3, passing down from Andy. But we see her now, she's a little bit older, but she's kind of like in that, still child, preteen, prepubescent, child. I believe, I think she's around maybe 10, 12 years old. But that's kind of like one of the developing ages for a young child. And now, but with the the indoctrination of technology, I think was also just focused on the parents about, well, she's struggling to make friends. Let's give her an iPad. And I feel like there's like a double meaning to that, because like I saw some people's backlash on maybe like Bonnie's parents weren't really that effective and actually was creating more problems, when really what she was seeking to value is like human connection and thinking that she don't fit in. But doing that, the use of technology and even quote unquote unmonitored, but like even then, like we're not having any type of parental controls or anything like that. There was like some sense of that in this movie where I'm like, hey, all right, I think you kind of what happens when technology is unchecked, but more importantly, what is used when it's creating problems that into the user's brain that probably maybe 20 years ago probably we're dealing with in that type of form now, because now we're feeling lonely in our own homes. Like we're at friends' house, having playtime and everything, but yet we're still on our iPads and we're sitting right next to each other. And I think they were showing that in a lot of humor they did with that, but also even with technology with old toys that were used. Like we got Conan O'Brien voicing a potty trainer, which I thought was actually a good addition to this movie. I wasn't expecting to actually like him in this. Yeah, there he is in this. And also some other supporting characters too, but they did a really good job of balancing that of new tech and old tech, especially when we get this subplot line with these upgraded Buzz Lightyears, which I felt was kind of the weakest point of this movie. Like it was so unnecessary, because like my head, I'm like, did we already go through this through Toy Story 2? With the Buzz Lightyear, other Buzz Lightyear at the Al's toys farm shop and everything. I feel like that's kind of just repetitive now, but because it's Buzz Lightyear and it's space toys, we got to upgrade it. And I felt the only one moment that I felt was actually good to see, like some moments where all the rogue Buzz Lightyears, and one of them you thought got lost away, but really he just got claimed by an owner. And allow that to happen. And then even at the end, where we even go to the oldest joke, is like, hey, are we falling? No, we're flying with style. Now they're drones. It's like, hey, and I thought that was pretty cool. And how that the reveal of that was just like, that's ridiculous, but that's cool. Like I would want a toy like that if I was younger with that. But what was your thoughts in terms of like the other supporting characters, especially now this movie was kind of taking more of a lead role for Jessie, and going into the backstory of Toy Story 2, but actually getting a full extent of her story and also some type of healing for her.
So yeah, no, when it comes to the new kids, so again, most of the new characters that we got in here, we got the old cast that we've had from like Toy Story 1 to Toy Story 4, even Forky's back, and I think even utilized a bit better than he did there, now that he's got, a knife wife and all that shit. But most of the new toys in here are in a sense old toys, because they're like old toys that have been abandoned, and some of them being technology toys, ones that like Conan O'Brien's character, Smarty Pants, who was used, to help, small kids, when it comes to using the bathroom, or, early, not that much connected to the internet, but also kind of phone, toys as well, which also really begs the question of like, what is and isn't a toy? And also like, how do these things, like, we never really know how these toys have sentience in this world. It's just up to our imagination at this point. But I would also say like what they serve is a good example, because it's like Jessie has a lot of problems when it comes to how things are going in this film. And again, especially given the fact that we now fully see her backstory and see her original owner, and the moment that she lost her before she ended up, in Toy Story 2, and then it ended up in Andy and then Bonnie's, possession, and why she has so much issues letting go of a kid, because she feels like she's been abandoned, even though that is far from the truth. And seeing something that could lead to not just her, but a lot of other toys getting abandoned hurts. And you understand why it hurts, because it's like you understand the pain that she is going through, and just the feeling of not wanting to be abandoned again. She even says it herself. She doesn't want to get attached to a kid again if it means that they're going to just end up abandoning her at some point. You could feel that within the performance. But I think also the new characters are a good example to her that technology has a good and a bad to it, because while they're unchecked, and especially without the correct, without the proper mindsets, it could end up damaging people. It could end up affecting people's mental health. We see that with Bonnie, and she is being cyberbullied by people that she wanted to be friends with. But there's also good applications with it too, in connecting it to the right people, introducing us to a new character within here, Blaze, who ends up becoming Bonnie's true friend, because they're both weirdos, they're both eccentric, but they both have good hearts. And it's only because of the new characters like Lilypad and Smarty Pants that, something like that could happen, showing the evil that it could lead to, the internet being like how it is on Twitter, but it could also lead to the good of connecting people that you never would have thought you would connect to. Hell, most of my friends at this point are people that I still have not met in real life yet, but we have made connections, and it's only thanks to technology. So I just love both in terms of the new characters and what it did for Jessie. I love what this movie did in terms of like showing the good and the bad, and also showing the trauma that has come from all these characters, and giving that full story, that full circle moment from like Toy Story 2 as well. So again, there's a good reason I really like this film. It's just, it's really well done, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I thought this was really entertaining in terms of showing the evolution of how toys are across the world, and then showing that it's kind of became a real like epidemic, for a lot of people, a lot of the toys out there, whether you're, space toys, whatever, or cowboy toys, it doesn't matter. And I feel like they highlight that, but again, allowing the struggles of younger children learning how to deal with valuable connection, which that's the biggest thing, learn how to have valuable connection with people. And I think that they did a good job with the additional character, I forgot her name, in this movie, who's actually the new house owner where Jessie used to live.
Blaze, that's the new character.
Yeah, Blaze. Yeah. First of all, loved how they animated her hair. Loved it.
Yes.
Yeah. That just the moment. It's just first thing that caught my eyes. Just like, man, we've, a bunch of people talk about that cat in Toy Story 4 and how we jumped from, Sid's dog, right? And how that animation was to the cat from Toy Story 4, and now here we are. We see very like texturized hair in a Pixar movie. Very good. We've seen the evolution of animation. It's great. But yeah, I thought this was a really great addition to this franchise. And honestly, even though I do put this behind Toy Story, this is probably my fourth favorite Toy Story film. I still put the first three above this. I put Toy Story 2 above this one, then Toy Story 1, and then Toy Story 3 being the best one. And then the last one will be Toy Story 4. Not saying Toy Story 4 is bad. It just turns just into my favorite. I felt that's turns in my order I would have for this. And again, the fact of that Toy Story 4 is an amazing movie, and that's my least favorite out of this. It just shows you this is probably one of the best, animated film projects of all time. Definitely in that conversation, because you can't say that any of these movies was a letdown or a failure. And in each of them, even though the general public had a consensus like, hey, do we really need this movie? But I felt that even the voice acting, the actress that voiced Jessie did a really good job of stepping into a role for this, and allowing Tom Hanks and Tim Allen to actually take a back seat in this for the most part, even though there is a buzz plot line here on multiple levels in this movie. But I like the fact that they did a good job of allowing her to fill in those shoes of being a leader. And it did feel just like a regular story with these toys, and now seeing some healing with Jessie, who was dealing with this level of grief, and realized that no, her owner named her daughter after her toy. Jessie named her daughter Jessie in real life and everything. So and I like the way they did that, and it was a very emotional story. But again, also humanizing technology in a way like, no, technology is not bad, just how you use it. It could be bad, but it just turns out how you use it. I like that. At the end of the day, both the toys and technology was just doing the best it can to just do what was right for Bonnie, and instead of allowing Bonnie to be and actually let her make genuine human connection on her own, but also again with the help of children's imagination, have a little bit of assistance, toys giving you that sense of wonder and enjoy in your personal life and everything, right? I thought they did good here. Now they did this is the first time I actually felt, because so some of the actors passed away. I know the actor that plays Mr. Potato Head too. He like, you see some of the voice lines here was actually used from previous movies, but you still felt a sense of like something was eerie about this, because even then with Tim Allen and Tom Hanks' voice, you can sense like, yeah, this sounds like a 60 or 70-year-old man voicing this. Even the best of the ability, it's still, I'm sensing it. Other than, Woody just having a bald spot, I can hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, like you can tell they're getting there. So that's why I'm saying like, if they really feel that they need to do a Toy Story 6, do it not just to end Bonnie's story, but also just to let the franchise rest after that. I think we've had enough Toy Story movies and enough good stories that they've given us that if you have to do one more, let that be the end of it. Let Bonnie, maybe not to the same age that Andy was at in Toy Story 3, but like, let her grow up and let us move on from this franchise. I don't know what story you could tell. It definitely will be heartbreaking, I know that, but it's like, I don't know what story you could tell, but if you have to, fine, let Toy Story 6 be a thing, but then after that, it's okay to let a franchise, rest. Like, we were good after 3, then you gave us 2 more, and I can say that I enjoyed both of those, especially this recent one the most out of the newest ones. But if you have to do one more, put your all into it, but then let Tom Hanks and them have their ride off into the sun. Let this be the end of the franchise after that, if you have to make a 6th one.
Yeah, I think if they're going to do a 6th one, they got to bring in Andy and something now. And the way I can think they can salvage this and just make it like a full, complete story, not even this whole stereotypical story, just like let his children, take the toys. I'm like, no. We're in an age of collectibles now. So it's like you can make it where maybe Andy is now like a toy or collectibles, holder and everything, or something in some of that space and stuff. And now he's like, I want those toys not because they're valuable, but they're valuable to me in terms of what they represent, right? So, and kind of dive into that storyline of Toy Story 2, but not in the way where they're just being an antique shop or museum and never being played ever again. You can have that sense where he does have kids and stuff, but showing the importance of why these toys matter, not because of their price value on the market, but what they represent to him and what they mean to him, but in his childhood. So yeah, I think that should be a good way to wrap things up. But who knows? I mean, I'm still waiting them to age up the Incredibles for Incredibles 3 though. So, but aside from that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts on Toy Story 5. Did you like it? Did you didn't like it? You felt this franchise redundant, or does it need to end? Let us know in the comment section down below. All right, guys, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.